Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. Really appreciate it. How is everyone doing this morning? Good. Good. We're going to learn about termites. Now, my wife saw a termite and she was worried that it was going to hurt my son. I said, don't worry, they don't hurt people. They just hurt wood. Does anybody know what this is right here on the photo right here? That's termite colony. And this is over actually in South Africa. Now, I'm really thankful that we do not have these type of termites in Southern California. But just to give you a relation to how big these colonies can get, see this bottom picture? This is a kid standing next to one of the termite colonies. They're very intricate.
Beautiful.
They're very beautiful, and they actually have heating and cooling. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And the termites, they plant fungal gardens inside there. So they cultivate their own gardens so they can eat fungus and supply nutrients. They're very smart. Has anybody seen the movie Ants before?
No.
Ants but it goes through like all the different sections of termites and what they can do and what they're capable of. So they can heat and cool the colony by building certain tubes. It's very intricate. But there's over 2,300 types of termites. 2,300 types of termites. And they all essentially need the same exact things that we need. They need shelter, food, and water. Now, in Southern California, we have a lot of that. So we all have homes and they're built of wood. They love eating wood. They digest the cellulose. That's what they're after. And there's only one type of termite, the worker termite, digests the cellulose and then goes and feeds everybody else in the colony. Okay, and then water. A lot of us water our homes, or we have pipes in our house and they leak. That moisture helps them survive, and also termites really like to eat softwood because it's easier to chew. So those are the three things that termites need to make Southern California a really good place to have a termite colony. There's typically two major types of termites that we see in Southern California. Anybody want to guess what they are, or anybody want to read what they are? Drywood and subterranean termites. Subterranean termites, there's also 3 and 4, but they're so rare to see. Formosan termites, if you had a Formosan termite colony, it can eat like 13 pounds of wood in a day. So thankfully we don't have that type of termite colonies. Very rare to find those, but the two most common ones are drywood and subterranean. Experts estimate that 60 to 80% of homes in Southern California have termites living in them somewhere. Typically the other 20% is brand new construction. And even with brand new construction, do you guys think we can have termites in brand new construction? Yeah. How is that? How do you think? Did you buy the home? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but yes, the lumber sits and it's got termites already in it, and they build it with the termites already in there. Now, when we're talking about the movie Ants, how they all have their different functions. So right here on the top left is a swarmer termite. Now this swarmer termite will usually grow once the termite colony has reached a certain size. The swarmer's job is to fly out of the colony and go and establish a new colony. And we typically see these swarming August through November, typically after a rainfall. So it'll rain, they like that high moisture in the air because it protects their fragile bodies, and then they swarm out. And we've all seen them swarming and things of that nature. There's also worker termites. Now worker termites' main job is to go and eat the food and then bring it back to the colony. Now on the bottom right here you'll see the soldier termite, and you can kind of see it sticking its 2 mandibles up there. Now they can't eat themselves, but they have those, they protect the colony from ants. There's actually like wars between ants and termites all the time, and other pests that come in and try to hurt the queen. Now the queen in the colony is actually very large. The queen, can everybody see this? Yeah. This is about the size of a queen termite.
Wow, that big, huh?
That big. And they get bigger.
Wow.
Queen termites can produce 30,000 eggs in one day.
Wow.
That's 164 million termites in 1 year.
Wow.
Okay, and everybody's job is to protect the queen. The queen cannot move because she's so big. She just sits there and gets taken care of by everybody else. Everybody comes and feeds her, clothes her, and then the king termite is about half that size. So everyone in the colony is working to supply the king and the queen with their food. So they bring food and they feed them, they clean them, they take their babies and they plant them throughout the colony. Now what's interesting about termites, let's say an ant colony develops nearby the termite colony. The termites can actually switch. They can go from worker to soldier and from swarmer to soldier. Whatever the termite colony needs at that time, they can make a switch. Isn't that pretty crazy? They can transform like that based on the needs of the colony. Okay, typically we're going to find our drywood termites higher up in the air. These are going to be in your eaves. They typically enter through gaps and crevices in the house, and you're typically going to find their damage higher up in the property. Now, drywood termites, they do cause a significant amount of damage, but not as much as subterranean termites. For us to start seeing damage in a property, it typically takes 3 to 5 years for us to notice, hey, now we're seeing this type of damage in the property. Subterranean termites, they rely on the moisture in the soil to survive. So you guys see this mud tube on here in this top picture? Has anybody ever seen these mud tubes in a property before? Yeah, I see a couple people. They rely on that moisture, so they build those tubes so they can go up and they eat the wood and then they bring it back down. And then here's a really bad underneath the foundation where that joist has just been completely eaten by termites. They do reproduce very fast as well. Now when somebody is doing a termite inspection, they're really looking for a couple different things. It's very hard to see, but can you guys see those light gray wings in the windowsill?
Yeah.
That's one of the main things that a termite inspector is looking for. 1 wing, 2 wings. If we know we're finding wings in the property, we know that the colony is of size to be able to swarm. And that could be hundreds of thousands of termites. So if they see 1 wing, sometimes they will call for a fumigation. The picture below that is actually called a kick-out hole. And you guys see that little hole above all that powdery looking stuff?
Yeah.
That's termite droppings right there. And they're little small and they're little round. I was at a property in Long Beach and we were having a meeting. And has anybody seen that tower in Long Beach, like Seal Beach area? It's that wooden tower, and it looks like a water tower. Well, I was having a meeting in there, and stuff kept falling on my paper. It was termite damage, which made me feel really uncomfortable because that thing is on wooden stilts. So I let them know, hey, you might have a termite issue. They're going to look for termite damage, which is the most significant thing. Some inspectors are going to go and poke the wood. We've all seen them poke the wood, and they're looking for that termite damage and termite droppings. Now, when it comes to inspections, what's interesting about the inspection model is there's companies that do free inspections and there's companies that do paid inspections. So if we rewind 10, 15, 20 years, or if we look at the San Jose market, anybody know how much a termite inspection is in San Jose, California?
Nope.
$300 minimum,
Wow.
just for the inspection. That's it.
Good deal.
That's okay. What happened in Southern California is somebody decided, hey, I'm going to do free inspections. Because why do they want to do free inspections? To get the work. Now the problem with the free model is if I do 10 free inspections, there's really a cost to me as the company, right? Because I'm driving, I'm driving, I'm investing some time in that, and I've got gas, I've got expenses. So what happens on the free model is whenever let's say we inspect 10 houses and we get termite work in 3 of them, what happens to the price for the termite work for those 3 that we do? They have to absorb the costs from all the other free inspections.
Free enterprise.
Yes. Yes. So just something to think about versus the pay versus free model when it comes to inspections.
Free CMAs.
Free CMAs. Exactly. Stop working for free. So there's a couple different ways we can take care of termites. We've all seen these tents on properties, correct?
Yes.
Now they found a gas, it's called Vicane, and Vicane is an odorless, tasteless gas, and it can permeate through wood. So that's why they put the tent over there. Before they put that gas into the property, they do a tear gas. And the tear gas is a flushing agent. If any pets were stuck in the property or any individuals were snuck into the property or were still in the property, that flushing gas would cause them to run out of the property. After that flushing gas is put in, then they put the Vicane in, and it permeates through all the wood, and it will get rid of 100% of all the termites every single time. They've done tons of studies on this, 100% eradication for fumigation. Now there are other, average fumigation in Southern California is $700 to $2,000. It's all dependent on square footage, out structures, how tall the building is, and they have these special calculators. Now if you guys have ever seen these people put these tents on, it's a work of art. These tarps are 120 pounds. And you see people scaling the ladder with a 120-pound tarp on a 3-story house. That's a lot of work. It's very dangerous. So for the $700 or a $1,500 price point, it's a smoking deal, I'm telling you. Another thing, to get rid of subterranean termites, they're smart. Once they smell that flushing gas, where do they go? They go back down into the ground. And in order to take care of those, here you see they're drilling into a slab and they're injecting a chemical down into the slab. It's also an odorless, tasteless chemical. What they're wanting to do is the termites get that chemical on their skin, and then guess what? They go in, they rub up with all the other termites, and then it takes care of the whole colony. I mean, it eradicates the whole colony. There's chemicals out there called Termidor, and when you do this treatment in the soil, that chemical can protect your house for 10 years. So using a high-quality chemical can protect your house for 10 years. Now, there are state-mandated guarantees when it comes to termites and termites repairs. Typically, it's going to be a 1-year guarantee, and on fumigations, it's a 2-year guarantee, and that is mandated by the state of California. Let me ask you guys this. Do you have to have a license to be a termite inspector in the state of California?
No, not an inspector, but I
What's interesting, I'm glad I asked that question. In the state of California, to do a termite inspection, you do have to be licensed with a Branch 3 structural pest control license. Just like everybody in here passed the test, you have to go and pass a test to be able to identify termites and termite damage. Now that's different for home inspectors. There's other treatments, and they've tried everything when it comes to termites. They try heat treatments. Heat treatments are pretty good. They're the next best thing. They raise the temperature in the property to 130, 140, 150 degrees. 96% of the time, the termites are going to be eradicated from a heat treatment. The unfortunate part is when homeowners come back in and they start opening their doors and their doors are stuck, because when you swell wood like that, you know, it grows and it expands. So that is the one downside. And when we look at all the different treatment remedies, about 70% of the time, termite companies are doing a local treat, and then about 22% of the time they're doing a fumigation, and 8% of companies are doing alternative methods. They also have other methods. They've tried to freeze a property. They put it in like a refrigerator and freeze it to get rid of it. Very expensive. They have these really expensive microwave guns that they shoot microwaves at the termites. Another thing, you know, it heats up the walls, and there's been bad things that happens when you put high microwaves on a wall. And they've also had orange oil. Now, if you guys have heard of orange oil, this is a natural thing. It's supposed to be healthier and safer. I've worked in the industry for 10 years. A lot of the people, the termites have to get on that, and it's only effective about 60% of the time for orange oil. Now, another downside of orange oil is actually very flammable. So you're injecting wood with a flammable liquid. Maybe not the best scenario. That's why a lot of the companies are primarily going to do the fumigation or the local treat with chemicals. Now, a lot of the chemicals that they have are naturally derived from plants. So there's like pyrethroids, and those come from flowers, chrysanthemum flowers. And they boil those down and they make a chemical that can eradicate the termites. In Southern California, it's estimated that termites cause between $1 billion and $2 billion worth of damage every single year. There's around 1 to 2 million termite inspections that happen every single year, and most of those are driven by the real estate market. Most of those inspections are driven by the real estate market. And then, like I said before, 60 to 80% of the homes have termite damage. Some studies say that 95% of the homes have termite damage or items that can lead to termite damage. So how can we prevent termites in our own home? We can trim bushes away from our house. Anytime we have plants touching our house, whether it's flowers or anything of that nature, that leads to moisture being transferred to the wood. We don't want that. So we're going to trim bushes. This is for all pests too, by the way. Trim bushes away from the house. Make sure our sprinklers aren't spraying on the house, softening up that wood, making it really easy to eat for the termites. If we have any moisture leaks inside the property, we want to make sure those are fixed. It's highly advisable in Southern California that you get an annual termite inspection every single year on your property, because they can stop that colony in year 1 and year 2, so in year 3 they're not going for a fumigation. Does that make sense? So it's a lot easier, we all know this, it's a lot easier to prevent than to wait until there's a big issue. So prevention is key. Going around your property, making sure that all the cracks are sealed and the crevices are sealed, making sure that they can't fly in there, making sure you have proper venting on the attics, the attic entry points. You can also change your exterior light bulbs to a yellow color. The yellow light bulbs, they typically attract less bugs, mosquitoes, termite swarmers, and things of that nature. And also, you can have, when a termite inspector is out there, ask him if, hey, do I have any earth to wood contact? Earth to wood contact would be like a joist or a 4x4 underneath the property directly on the wood. Termites love that because they don't have to build the tubes. They can just go right in and eat and then go back down to the colony. So that is my presentation on termites. Does anybody have any questions for me about termites? I'll take one question, or 1 or 2 questions. Yes?
The orange oil was flammable. Is it during the treatment is flammable, or even though after?
Still after, because you're injecting it, the wood, and it's injected into the wood and it's staying on the wood. So, yeah, you can read about it, but yeah, that was one of the negatives of using orange oil. Yes?
My question is that you're proposing a 1-year inspection, and through my 30-some years of experience, I have found out that the termite expenses at the time of closing escrow is usually the same. And they say, Cesar, don't worry, I've been having a service for every year, right? And when that guy gets a call to issue a certificate, he says the house has to be tented, you have to dry with termite, and then end up spending $1,500 to $2,000. When somebody that doesn't have a service, they get the inspection, the same $1,500 to $2,000 at the time of close of escrow.
And that's a good point, and that's all the quality of the company. Because the quality of the company, if there's termites in that property and they're taking money from that homeowner every single year and they're not fixing and addressing the termites, you can issue a complaint with the state pest control board. You go on there, you complain, say, hey, I've been paying this company for 5 years, no termite damage, except when I go to sell my house, now I have termites and they're going to make me pay for it. A lot of homeowners aren't educated about that, so it's our job as the real estate industry to educate the homeowners. Hey, if you're paying for that service, those termites should be gone. What they're doing is they're leveraging the fact that a lot of lenders require that termite clearance. And now we're in the escrow, and what can you do in escrow when you're in a timeline? Oh, just throw a number out there and hope it closes. But good point, let's educate our customers if they are having that service to make sure that the company's actually taking care of termites. One more question, then I'll wrap up.
The difference between a house is built on a concrete slab versus raised foundations.
Typically, it's going to be really hard for those subterranean termites to get into the structure through that concrete slab. Now, however, there are settling cracks that can occur inside the property, and that's when it becomes very difficult to find those infestations. You're going to see those, which, oh, it's coming up through a crack. And then what they have to do is they have to remove the carpet and lift up and then drill through the foundation and then inject the chemical there. And then, but typically your raised foundations are going to have more termites because the wood is just right there. The termites just have to go up like a concrete thing, and then the wood is right there. So raised foundations are good because you can go and work under all the appliances or all the utilities underneath there. But then the downside is the termites can get in there. Yeah, I will stay after, so please ask me some questions. Thank you guys so much for having me. Really appreciate it.